If you ever had to set a registry key during a deployment phase of an application, you kind of already know the drill, right? For example, you write a PowerShell script and expect it to work, but then you test it and find that, for example, the key doesn't exist or the registry already exists and you need to use different commandlets. So what I want to show you today is actually a couple of ways you can work with registry keys with PowerShell and with Advanced Installer. Now, quick refresher before we jump into the topic. The Windows registry is basically the configuration database of the operating system. Keys and values inside those keys are what define different behaviors of your application or even the OS. So back in the day, everyone used the reg.exe in batch files to touch the registry via scripts, but today PowerShell has its own commandlets and its own registry provider, which lets you treat registry hives almost like folders. HKLM or HKCU become virtual drives you can navigate with normal looking commandlets. So it sounds simple in theory, but let's actually see it in practice, right? So let's take it from the beginning. Let's say that I want to set a property or set a registry value, right? And I have this little script here that I say New-ItemProperty, blah, 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 blah. If I run this script, I will run into an error. Why? Because this registry key does not exist, right? So if we check the HKCU software test my key, this test key doesn't exist, right? So what do I need to do next? Well, first I will need to modify the script. First I will need to test if that actual path exists. If it doesn't exist, then we need to use the new item commandlet to create that specific path and then create a new item property for that particular registry that I want to use, right? So for example, if I run this script, this will work quite fine because right now if I hit an F5, look, test appeared, my key, and I have the version here, which is nice, right? But here comes another problem. If I already had that key created and I would have used the new item property, this would have failed because new item property expects for that specific value to not exist. So then if that value exists, if my key exists and already has a value declarated, then I will need to use the Set-ItemProperty commandlet. And if I use it, guess what? Then I refresh and now I have 13. So you see, we already need to have three types of scripts or three scenarios that we need to consider when we work with PowerShell and registry, right? There is another possibility that you can use, and it's getting quite popular these days, and this is the PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit. Now, I'm going to show you the V4 here, but V3 is quite similar. The commandlet is a little bit changed here, but what PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit allows you to do is actually write one single piece of code here, and it will do the rest in the background. You don't need to hassle by checking and so forth and so on. You just type the Set-ADTRegistryKey, you put the literal path, the version, the desired value, and everything should work. Now I'm going to test this locally, so let me also have, this is an elevated command prompt, otherwise it doesn't work. If I hit enter, you won't see it on the video, but a small pop-up will appear and say, hey, do you want to install? Yes, install it, blah, blah, it's installed. And now if I go back to the registry and navigate to local machine, and of course I need to refresh for you to see this, I have here a test key with the desired value. So PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit already done it automatically. It looked if that key exists. It didn't, so it created it. It looked if that specific version registry value exists. It didn't, so it created it and assigned it with the desired value as I mentioned it to it. But even if version was there, he knew what to do to update it, right? So it makes things a little bit easier. Now, this is kind of the same approach we are using with Advanced Installer, because with Advanced Installer is also quite easy, or maybe even easier, because everything is on a graphical user interface manner, right? So for example, you can go to the registry page, and let's say here I have local machine test, and right here I want a new value. Let's say this value is my desired key. Here I select the type of key I want to create, either a string, expandable string, integer, 32 or 64, or binary, right? You can put the data, right? Whatever you want here, and click OK. Now, when it comes to string, right, which is a single or multi, you can actually declare to Advanced Installer what you want to do is prepend the existing value, right? So for example, you have an existing value, like think of it like the path. So if you have already something there, we will put it beforehand. Append is just add it at the back, or you can replace the existing value of that key. So most of these scenarios will include replacing your key, right? So if you click OK, save and build this package, the next time you will install this package, everything will be done automatically by Advanced Installer and the Windows Installer technology. So that's the comparison with PowerShell. One registry value can mean 6 lines of code and 2 different commandlets depending on the situation. And with Advanced Installer, it's just a couple of clicks and the packaging engine handles the edge cases for you. If you want to try this yourself, Advanced Installer has a free trial. The link is in the description, by the way. And if you found this video useful, subscribe for more packaging comparisons like this one. See you in the next one.